I've seen her work. I've seen her palatial backyard with the tiki bar. I've hung out in the, you know, when we go on these things, you want to spend a little bit of personal time to reflect and enjoy and, well, hang out in the hammock in her backyard, which is a lot of fun while she's in there working. I'm like, this is good, right? She's taking me to one of the top buildings downtown San Jose. She's part of a really cool club that has executive lounges all over. We've done that in Dallas as well, which is a lot of fun, yeah. And so, you know, you get to have a lot of fruits of your labor when you're willing to put in the work, and she definitely puts in the work on a regular basis. One of the top trainers in the country. Please help me welcome back to the stage, Miss Kai Deering.
Hi everyone. It's funny too because we ended up doing lunch with you guys every single incentive trip. It's like we're like, oh, and now it's kind of a thing. We got to find him and his wife to go do lunch. And my favorite one is at the St. Regis.
Yeah.
Which is like the two of us right on the beach, Dana Point. It was unbelievable. So I'm just going to share with you a couple things, and hopefully this will take some time off your learning curve. Are you ready for me to use the clicker?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, awesome. Can we please give it up for these incredible, hardworking people here at this event? Patrick, thank you for all your years of making us sound good. I just really appreciate it. And at the front, so just incredible. So I'm going to share with you how to build a massive legalshield business. And like I said, you know, people have done way better than I have, but I think I've done okay. Would you guys agree?
Yes.
And so I'm going to share with you, and the best thing is, I'm just like, this is, my favorite thing about legalshield, honestly, is that I get to be myself. And in corporate, would you guys agree, or owning your own business, sometimes you just can't let it all hang out. You gotta put on some airs, you gotta, you know, but here, what you see on stage is exactly what you see with a fruity drink at the beach. You know, I'm no different here than I am out there. And that's one of my favorite things. I just get to be my authentic self, and no apologies there at all for that. So, but how many people are really surprised? Like, you recruit somebody and you think, man, this person's gonna go right to the top. They're gonna be amazing. We're gonna crush this together. We're gonna be lifelong friends. And anybody ever did that? And then they do nothing. Nothing. And you're like, what happened? Well, I really have been giving this a lot of thought. Why do people not do what they say? Like, one person actually had their why, and they like cried to me, like, this is it, I'm gonna do this forever. And then now she's in the witness protection program. And I'm like, I don't understand. Has anybody else been befuddled by like this whole thing? It's very topsy-turvy. So I really started to dive into why people get started and don't do what they say they're gonna do. And it's interesting, I don't know if it's gonna, am I clicking the wrong button? There we go. So I'm gonna talk about guaranteeing success in 2023 if you do what I tell you to. But if you don't do what I tell you to, you're not gonna be guaranteed success. But this is why people don't do it or quit. There's only really 3 reasons why. And I've been like on a quest to figure this out, and I think I finally nailed it. Isn't that weird? After 21 years. So, number 1 is they just fail to launch. And I'm going to talk to you about the psychology of this. So, they're in this environment, they get excited, they get started, they go home, and somebody steals their dreams.
Right.
And they're never going to tell you why. And I'm going to tell you also the underlying thing in all 3 of these is a belief issue. And this one is a belief in themselves. It's a lack of belief in themselves. So they get started here, they go home, and it might even be their spouse that says, shut up, you did not sign up for that thing, did you? No way, you did that other thing? Really? Okay, and then you show it, maybe it's like somebody else, it's a neighbor that says, oh, are you gonna get garage qualified again? That last thing you sold all that stuff to? Or maybe it's a parent, you're younger, and your parent says, listen, you're gonna waste my mom was like, you're gonna waste that whole college degree? You have like 2 degrees, you're not gonna use that? What a waste. Or you have a great secure job, it's somebody else talking them out of their dreams. And so this is a very difficult thing to combat, because what happens is they never tell you. They just disappear. So what I like to try to combat this, I'm gonna talk about what the issues are and how to try to combat it. I'm gonna say, hey, there's gonna be a moment in time where you may not feel like you wanna continue on with this for whatever reason. Somebody told you no, that it was really important to you, or somebody made fun of you, or whatever the case is. But I'm gonna say to them, hey, how do you want me to handle you when you stop showing up. Oh no, I'm never gonna stop showing up. I'm gonna be here forever. No, it might happen. And if it does, how do you want me to handle it? Because if you don't handle that on the front end, what happens is it seems like you want them for your own purposes on the back end.
Right.
So Katrina, I haven't seen you in a few weeks. It's like the end of the month. Why haven't you shown up? You're like, you want me to show up because you want to qualify senior director or executive director, whatever the case is. So if I haven't had that conversation and done the work on the front end, it's awkward to do it on the back end. So ask people, hey, how do you want me to handle it? Do you want me to call you? Do you want me to text you? Do you want me to remind you of your why? What would you like? How do you want me to handle you if you stop showing up? And I would appreciate that. Like if you, for partners at the gym, you're my workout partner for the gym, and you stop showing up, what's gonna motivate you to get back in there? I have a workout partner, and she texted me, I did this, I did that, what did you do today? I ghost her, right? So she's like, how do you want me to handle you? I'm like, keep telling me what you're doing because it'll inspire me. She's like, okay. So that's what I'm saying to you. It's important that you know that that's one of the things that happens is, when I was a kid, they used to call it someone peeing your Cheerios, right? Like, that's it. You were so excited, you look, and then they're like, yeah. But I'm gonna warn you too that the person who does that to you is probably not your friend. If you're excited about something, oh my gosh, even if I don't like your boyfriend and I think your boyfriend's a jerk, I'm still gonna be like, yay! I'm not gonna rain on your parade. If you're excited about this new job and I don't like the company, I'm gonna be still like, yay, because that's what friends do. Would you guys agree?
Yes.
So if someone's gonna be mean to you about getting started in a venture, they're probably haters and jealous, and you're stepping out doing something different is making them realize that they're not living up to their potential, and there's things that they wanted to do, and it's crabs in a pot pulling the person down. So another thing I found, and I don't know if there's more than these three. I would love for some of our veterans to share and find out if there's anything else. There's a habit of people being just consummate starters. They start the podcast, the murder podcast, but never finish it. They never know who did it. Mm-hmm. They start the online course, and I've been guilty of this, spending thousands, I've been guilty of all these, by the way, spending thousands of dollars and then not finishing the course. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? People spend 20 grand to go to college and don't finish it, right? There's just people that have a tendency to start things, they're just not finishers. Has anybody ever done that? You know, you pay a lot of money for a gym and then you stop going, or it is what it is. So how can you handle this one? Well, you really, on this one, you want to keep their why in front of them very, very closely. And it's not that they don't want to do it, it's that they get just easily distracted. Something else shiny, oh, squirrel, I'm out. So we want to make sure that we're helping them because they have a lot of potential, but there's a lot of starters. There's not a lot of finishers. And you don't need to be very good, you just gotta be consistent and stay the course. And that's really what my superhero power has been. And so with these people that constantly start, you've gotta keep, it's like Eric Worre does a really funny training on this. He'll say, and he's the network marketing guru, if you haven't followed him, follow him, he's really good. But he says it's like having a kid and they get bored of the same toy. So you gotta hold a new toy, they start crying or complaining, you're like, what fun little toy right here, you like this? And they're like, right? So your associates get cranky, somebody told them no, they start to cry and whine. So you gotta dangle a funny toy or a fun toy in front of them, which could be like a speaker, right? How many people came out, haven't been here in a while just to see me? I might have been your shiny toy. You weren't coming, showing up for a while, and you're like, ooh, but it's Kai, it's a shiny toy, let me go. Okay, it's true. So there's nothing wrong with these people. They're not mean people. They need to have a reason to finish it. And I can't blame them because if you look at like divorce is at, 50%, and people stand in front of their God and their, families and 200 of their favorite friends until death do us part, or I don't feel like it. Right? And there's legitimate reasons why you wouldn't be with somebody, right? If they're abusive or what have you, there's legit reasons. But a lot of times it's just, I'm bored, right? So there's an attention problem in North America, and Dave Savula, our number one income earner, rest in peace, always used to talk about, fast food isn't fast enough. So the problem with starters is they don't see the fruits of their labor quick enough, and they get bored and they quit. And I told you, I only made $6,000 in my first year. Wouldn't it be easy for me to get bored and quit? Mm-hmm. But because I kept showing up and I kept seeing examples of people that were doing well, that it kept me in the game just one more time. Just one more time. maybe I'll go and I'll get the inspiration I need just one more time. So is anyone here that's a one more timer right now? Maybe I'm just gonna come one more time and see if I can get my inspiration to keep going. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So we've got to keep those folks distracted from their distractions, because they get lost, okay? And it's really because they're not seeing it fast enough. And that was me. Again, I've been all of these. I've been the starter. I've also been the person that, you know, just failed to launch in a lot of different things that I thought were great. And then the other one is just somebody who's comfortable. They always say what's easy to do is easy not to do. So sometimes it's just really easy for people not to do the business. They make decent money. It's like, okay, so it's the farmer's dog. Farmer's dog sitting on the porch, howling, days on end. Neighbor from like 2 acres away finally decides to drive the tractor over and see what the heck is going on. It's been going on for days and days and days. Farmer's sitting on the rocking chair, dog sitting there howling, pulls up in the tractor. He says, man, why is your dog just howling? He says, the dog's sitting on a rusty nail. Well, why doesn't it just get up? He goes, I guess it doesn't hurt bad enough yet.
So true.
So some of y'all are sitting on that rusty nail. Well, it's not that bad. You know, my boss isn't that bad. I don't mind getting up that early. So sometimes with those folks, to combat that is you've got to manufacture uncomfortableness. There was a guy in our business, I don't know if you were around that time, who wanted to hit a certain position. I think it was platinum. And what did he do? He took his bed out of his house and slept on his floor until he hit platinum.
I know.
That's manufacturing some pain. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
So Tony Robbins says we're pushed by pain or pulled by pleasure, and most of us are by the pain.
By pain.
Yeah, I mean, it's, oh, this trip would be great. Well, if I don't get the trip, nothing's bad's gonna happen to me, right? But it's like you end up going to the DEXA scan like I did, and they're like, oh, your visceral fat is pretty not very good. You gotta get your butt in gear. And you're like, oh, snap, right? So it's the threat of pain more than it is like, oh, I'd love to earn a trip, but that's not sometimes enough to get people's butts moving. It's the fear or the threat of something else happening that's going to be bad. Maybe the husband gets laid off. Maybe you get laid off. Maybe, you know, you're down to one income because you get divorced or somebody passes away or whatever the case is. So we've got to be able to get those folks that are comfortable to somehow manufacture them or remind them of their pain. And so for me, I would wake up because I was making a multiple 6 figures, but I was working 80 hours a week in a soulless career that I didn't care anything about. It just didn't mean anything to me. And I would have to remind myself, you know, you got to do this because if you don't, whatever. And let me give you an example of like how this happens. So it's smoking, right? I smoked from, don't laugh, from 15 to 35. I cannot believe I smoked. Isn't that weird? And it was, you know what it was too, Mike Bishop? It was soccer players. Like we all smoked. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
They would never smoke now.
We were rebels back then.
Yeah, soccer was like, you know, whatever. I played for University of Oregon and whatnot. And so I knew I needed to quit smoking. My grandma died of emphysema. Like I knew it was going to kill me, but it was so far out that I needed to bring it near. Do you see what I'm saying? So then my husband said, I'd like to get married, but I don't want to marry a smoker. And I was like, oh, okay. That was part of it. And then the second whammy of it was, I'm like, I can't be a leader in legalshield and be a smoker. Like that just doesn't compute. You know what I mean? Like you're a great leader. I want to follow you, but I'm out back smoking. I mean, it's just such a bad disconnect. So those two things coupled together, that pain of knowing I'm never gonna be able to make it in legalshield if I'm a smoker, and I'm not gonna get married if, you know what I mean, if I don't quit. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna quit. And I pretty much quit like that, bam. So there's a day of decision, a day of, Jim Rohn calls it a day of disgust, where you just decide that this is it, you're gonna draw your line in the sand, and that's what happens for people that are comfortable. And they can be comfortable at all income levels. I got a friend who's retired and she's comfortable because she can sit around all day and watch TV. Now she's not living her best life. She's not able to go on trips. She's not able to like do some fun things, but it's good enough. And they've always said, right? It's a book about it. You know, enemy of great is good. So you're good. I'm good. I hate when people say that to me. I'm good. I'm like, okay, great. Why would you want to be great? So how big does a tree grow?
As big as it can.
As big as it can. So why do we, the only weirdo creature that just stops growing, that says, this is good. It's okay. What I've got is enough. No, I think we're born for greatness, and then we have the dream choked out of us for 12,000 hours, you know, of school and working for somebody else, and eventually those dreams get put on the shelf and you forget about them and you're not doing anything else with them. Can anyone else relate to that? So these are the 3 things that I see most common, and I don't know if there's another one. Is there another one? I mean, I want to talk about that at the after event. So what's the antidote to it? Well, here's the antidote to it. Here's the definition of the antidote to it. It's something that relieves, prevents, or counteracts. So how do we counteract the people that, are just starters, never finishers, the ones who are comfortable, the ones who fail to launch? What is the antidote to that? Any guesses? Consistency, yeah. What else? Discipline. Anybody else?
Staying in the environment.
Plugging in, staying in the environment. Their why. What else? Accountability. How about this? If it'll click for me. It won't click for me. There it goes. How about just some flat out, messy, scrappy, fearful, massive, it's not clicking. Action. That cures it all. If I don't feel like doing it and I start making some phone calls, if I don't feel like working out and all of a sudden I start walking again, don't you always feel better? Mm-hmm. So this is the antidote to all of that. So if you're failing to launch, why don't you come over to the house, let's make some phone calls together. Go with them. Always go to an event, do whatever. Take action is the antidote to all that. And it's going to be messy. It's going to be scrappy. It's going to be fearful. You're going to fear the fail and do it anyway. Listen, I get up here all the time and it's not, I'm uncomfortable, I'm nervous because I take this very, very seriously, that I have to deliver something to you today. People invested their time, their money. You can always get your $20 back, but you can never get more time. So I take this very, very seriously, that I have to deliver to you, information that is going to inspire you to go out and do messy action. That's it. I mean, you need to leave here today because you can't be a permanent spectator. It's never going to work for you. And I laughed so hard because there's only 3 things, and I told this last night, for those of you who were there last night, and this is my favorite thing in the whole wide world. Anybody here in the military? What branch were you in, Patrick? Army. What is your like little grunt that you guys do?
Marines is we didn't do anything way back then, but then I got the ooh-ah.
Do it again?
It's like ooh-ah.
Ooh-ah. Okay. So if we were to wake Patrick up in the middle of the night, he might say, yes sir, ooh-ah, right? Because it's ingrained in there. That's the things they've been able to ingrain in you. This is really what I wanted a team of, where I woke them up, kicked them in the morning, and they woke up and they said, and I go, what do we do? And they sit up and they'd say, just out of a cold sleep, they'd say, we go to events with more people with us than we did the time before, guests in the team, and because of that we get into performance club and we teach people to do number 1 and number 2. Because oversimplified, that's really all we do. If you want to break down the whole 10 core everything, we show up to events with more guests and associates than we did the time before. As a result of that, we get into performance club. We're not splitting the atom here. And we teach people to do number 1 and number 2. How do you agree if that was the case, that's something everybody can do, right? It's a choice of whether or not you're going to do it. And you cannot be bad enough that you cannot get in performance club. Let me tell you why. Becky Mello, I love Becky Mello. She lives actually out in the Big Island as well. Jane, she's right there, right off of Alihi Drive. So she lives in the Big Island from Southern California. And there was one day she was trying to hit executive director and she was a little bit short. Anybody ever been there in performance club or something? A little bit short. So I don't recommend this. This isn't what I'm saying to do in your business. But what she did was she walked into a Denny's. She needed 2 memberships and she said, does anybody here need access to an attorney for $1 a day? And somebody said, as a matter of fact, I do. She sold a membership right there in Denny's. So if you just show this to enough people, you have a 50-50 chance that odds are in your favor, they're going to need you. So the only reason people are not in performance club is they did not take enough messy action. It may not be pretty, it may not be great, and I was horrible at the beginning. We did everything. They said talk to everyone, so we threw up all over everyone. Anyone ever throw up all over somebody?
Flyers.
Yeah. Then they said, so we did it corporate style. So he knows my story, I've told it a million times. So there was about 8 of us. We did 100 flyers each. That was almost 1,000 flyers in our little neighborhood that we lived in. And the only person that called us was the liquor store to say, I better get my crap off his building or I was really gonna need that legal plan. You know, at least I took messy action. And while we were doing these stupid flyers, it didn't work, so I'm saving you a bunch of time. What was great was we met people. While we were putting, what are you guys putting up? I'm like, oh, we have this legal thing. We prospected out there. So it's in the course of taking that stupid action, we actually met people, prospected them, wrote some memberships, and recruited some people. It's just getting your butt out there and doing it wrong. How do you know if you're gonna ride a bike, you're gonna stink first?
Yeah.
I mean, anybody ever ridden a bike before that didn't fall down? I'll give you a minute. And I don't recommend riding a scooter either. I rode a scooter in Oklahoma, or I was in Oklahoma, and I busted out 2 of my front teeth at our international convention. I have a pretty good dentist though. But I say that to say, you don't want to ride a scooter either, right? But I know for a fact that the only reason I can ride a bike now is because I fell down and got bloodied before. So just know you're going to be bad before you're good. You're going to take this action, and it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be perfect. Like I went back there, and somebody, I can't remember who it said, oh, you're so good. I said, I would hope so after 20 years. I've been sitting in a presentation like this, because it said 1 night a week, 1 Saturday a month, which you're here today, and a couple of weekends a year for the convention and your team event. I better be good after sitting for literally 52 of these presentations minimally every week for, how many weeks would that be? Can someone do the math? 21 times 52. It's 1,000. If I can't see 1,000 of these presentations and at least do it with my eyes closed, would you agree something's wrong? So that's 90%, they say, of success is showing up. So if you just show up, eventually you're gonna get fed up of showing up by yourself like I did, and figure out how to get some people here with you, and everything's gonna start working out in your favor. So again, we show up to events with more people than we did the time before. Because of that, we end up in Performance Club. We teach people to do number 1 and number 2. Now, if I were to buy or be interested in buying your business, which technically it's a business, you could sell it. I'm not as interested in your financials because you may not be making a lot of money right now, but there's a lot of potential. Right? There's acres of diamonds in your organization. But here's what I am going to ask you. I'm going to ask for your financials if I want to invest or buy your publicly traded company, which is your legalshield business. This is an analogy. But what I am going to ask is I'm going to say, I'd like to see how many people you have going to convention. How many did you have last time? Is that number going up or going down? I'd also like to see how many people you have in Performance Club. Is that number going up or going down? If that number's going up, I'm investing or buying in your company. If it's going down, I'm going to pass. That's as simple as that. It really is as simple as that. Because I don't care about how much money you're making. The money will come. It did for me. But the one thing I was rock solid about was leading by example. And you cannot expect anyone else to show up, get in Performance Club. How are you going to teach them number 1 and number 2 if you're not in it yourself? It's impossible. And that's why when you see those numbers, Mr. Bishop and I were talking about that, there's so many people at the 200, 300 months. Why? Because that's the secret sauce. It's getting in there because the same skills that it takes to get into Performance Club are the same skill sets, that same muscle. Think about this. If I'm going to try to get in Performance Club, and sometimes it might be a push for me to get in there. I might have to go to a Denny's. No, don't do that. But I might have to do that every now and again. But it's the same skill set that's required for you to be able to go into, let's say, senior director, executive director. Isn't that the same skill set? It's the tenacity. It's not going to, it's going through. I mean, you never want to miss it. So if you need 1 more membership, it's the last day of the month to get in Performance Club. You better not go 2. You better get through. Because what if that's a reinstatement? What if that's, somebody already was in the system? So I say that to say, we just got to take more action. And if you're to be totally honest with yourself and you were to pay yourself for the action that you took in the month of January, how much would you pay yourself for the action you took in your legalshield business? Well, you were gone for 17 days. So I say that to say, if I feel like I was not worth, well, here's what's funny. In the beginning, I thought, man, I should be getting paid more because I am working really hard. Now I'm like, I can't believe they pay me for what I'm not doing. But that's an interesting thing. If we had a hidden camera, you said you're in legalshield, that followed you around every single day to document what you were doing, what would it look like? Would you be happy with people seeing that? Your upline seeing that? Your CEO seeing that? Would you be happy about that? So this is why this is so important. So the 3 characteristics, like you can do the action, but it's how you, so it's always in 3s. By the way, my trainings are always in 3s. You saw that was the 3 things we do, that's the 3 things, okay, it's always in 3s. So there's something to do the action. So if we now know how do we combat these 3 reasons why people don't do what they say they're gonna do is action, then it's how you do the action. Because if you do the action cranky and not nice, and you're not, we're in the attraction business, you don't have to be attractive, but you have to have a nice personality, a pleasing personality. And Dave Civulli used to say, if you don't like your personality, get a new one.
That's right.
Get a new one. And that always I was like, oh, how's that even possible? Oh, it's possible. You know, like you're in a bad mood or something. How many people, I will never forget, like when I have a little spat like with my mom, or I had a spat with my husband, I had to remember I was mad at them or not talking to them. Do you know what I'm talking about? I'd be like, oh yeah, no wait, I'm not talking to you. It's a lot of work, but it was easy just to change your attitude, right? That was a choice for me to be like that to my mom. You have girls, you know what I'm talking about, right? It was a choice, and I could turn it on and turn it off. You can do the same thing here. So what does that look like? Well, number 1 is positive attitude. People are gonna be attracted to you. How do people think I have a good attitude? I mean, I don't even know I'm on, and I'm like, it's hot, hot, hot. I'm like, oh God. Tim was dying laughing. It's on the loudspeaker. He's like, oh, we're in for a treat today. This woman's out of control. But that's because that's who I am. Like, I talk to everyone. That doesn't mean I prospect everyone. And I gotta tell you, Californians are stink pots. In my neighborhood, I walk my little dogs, and I walk around my neighborhood, and I'm always like this, hi! And they totally ignore me. And so I go like this. I go, hi! And if they don't say anything to me, I'm like, or not. Oh, my husband's like, that's so rude. I'm like, no, that was rude. You know what I mean? And I crack up about that because my husband says, well, maybe they don't speak English, live in a very, melting pot area. I'm like, everybody that moves to United States, even if you don't speak good English, you know hi. It's accompanied with this. Right? I mean, I call horse manure on that. And he's like, well, maybe they're wearing their earplugs. I said, that I will give you. Yeah. But if they're together and they still don't comment when I say hi, I'm pretty sure they're not wearing their earbuds but maybe they are. I don't know. Would you guys agree? And in Oregon, when I say hi to you, everyone says hi to me.
Yeah. Move back.
No, it rains too much. Karen asked me the same thing. I'm like, I could never live here. I love you so much. But the sun, when I lived here, whenever I saw it, I thought it was a UFO. I was like, what is that thing? And so I have to live in California. It helps with my positive mental attitude. I'm sorry, I just do. But I do love you. Okay, so positive mental attitude, because you can do it cranky and you're not going to get the same result. Hey, here, watch this, right? And you've got to build a little bit of rapport. You've got to be positive. Number 2 is you got to be coachable. And what I love about our new Prospect by PPLSI is if you really are doing the activity, but nobody's watching it. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. And I have issues like that too. Like, I'm like, gosh darn it, no one's watching it. Does anyone else have a problem like that? I can now do the math backwards and figure out how do I need to be coachable? What do I need to do to be able to get more of those people to watch that? And so that's the ultimate dipstick, because Nick's service says either you're not doing something right, which usually it's a 1% tweak, or you're not doing something enough. So when somebody asks me for coaching, I'm like this. I'm like, let me ask you a question. Is it, you self-diagnose, because I'm not with you all day. Are you not doing something enough, or is there a 1% tweak you need to make? And you know what 99% of the time they tell me? Not enough. Not enough. So I feel like I'm doing enough and I'm not getting enough people to watch it. Now I know where the problem is. I can diagnose. If you have a lot of people watching it but nobody's registering for the program, maybe you're not asking for the business. Like, this is the ultimate kind of move the needle backwards to figure out where you're stopped. So I've got some coaching around that, about how to do it. So instead of saying to somebody, hey, would you watch it? I'm qualifying them a little bit more. So I'm like, I say, hey, are you open? We're talking about some questions here. Are you open? Tell me yes. Yes. Oh, okay, great. Here's the video. Now that's a suspect, not a prospect. Would you guys agree? So that's why he's not watching it. I haven't qualified him. So I'm going to say to him, hey, you're going to tell me you're open. Are you open?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Let me ask you a couple of quick questions. What are you really looking for? Get how I've got to go now one step deeper, because if I just find out if he's open, I don't know what he's looking for, I'm not gonna be able to do it. So this is what I'm learning, because I'm doing a lot of stuff on social media right now, and they're not watching it. I'll do that in person, rapport. Oh, do you have a family? It's called FORM, Family, Occupation, Recreation, Motivation. So like yesterday, I'm in the Uber at 1 o'clock in the morning coming from the hotel. I talked to my Uber driver. I'm like, oh, how long have you been in the United States? Where's your accent from? Oh, I've been here since 1988. I'm like, oh, really? Is this all you do, drive? It's like, no, I do after school programs for high school kids. I'm like, that's awesome. What school district? I grew up, over there, went to high school there. He's like, oh yeah, this is great, do that. I'm like, oh, do you have a family? He's like, yeah, I got kids. How old are your kids? I know everything about this. And do you know how long that ride is from the airport to the True Hotel? It's like
5 minutes.
maybe. So I've gotten really good at that, where and he watched it. I mean, because I'm good at that, but I'm not good at that online. Do you see what I'm saying? So now I'm looking at my numbers, and now I can go backwards and be coachable and try to figure out how to fix that. So you gotta be coachable, you gotta be trainable, and I wasn't in the beginning. I thought I knew it all because I made good money in corporate and my own business. And then number 3 is you gotta be committed. And it's been said, this is hilarious to me. I don't eat meats, but so they said, listen, the breakfast, the pig was committed, the chicken was involved, okay? So we want to be the most committed person, and I'm going to give you an example. This is such a good example. So a couple of things. You make a hard decision once, you never have to make it again. So I made a decision, I'm going to do 1 night a week, 1 Saturday a month, and 2 weekends a year, which will be our convention and our other thing. Our team event. So I just made that commitment. So what started to happen to me was I wasn't making a lot of money, $500 a month. And my friends would say, oh, and our event was on Wednesday night, it was in person. And they'd say, oh, it's Wednesday night. Hi, we're doing happy hour. Do you want to come? I said, I can't, it's Wednesday night. I got my thing. And they'd say, oh, well, you went to that last week. It's the same thing, right? They say the same thing every time. Yeah, they do. But I made a commitment. I'm sorry, I can't come. So then another month would roll by. They'd say, hey, it's your coworker's birthday. We're gonna all go out, Wednesday night. Can you come? I'd say, no, I got my thing. So trust me, 6 months, a year of that. We're gonna go see a movie. It's the cheap Wednesday night. Nope, I got my thing. Okay, so enough time goes by where I never waver. Never. Because imagine if I wavered once, then someone else will also get their feelings hurt. Well, you went for his birthday, Curtis's, but you didn't go for Karen's. What, do you like him better? It was just a non-negotiable. Listen, if you had to go to work and they told you you have to clock in by 8 o'clock or you're fired, wouldn't you be there at 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you show up for your 1 night a week?
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't make sense to me that no one would show up or commit to that. So I made a commitment, I'd show up. So here's what started to happen was, and this is such a great example, because I feel like, we're Black History Month, and today actually happens to be Rosa Parks' birthday today, and you can ride your metro anywhere in Portland right now for free, the bus anywhere for free today on her birthday. I know more about your town than you do. I do a little reconnaissance before I get here. But think about it, she was somebody who was committed. And she made the world bend to her. Did you get the difference?
Yeah.
She said, no, I'm not getting up, not happening. Made the world bend to her. Now so much so, you get to ride a bus for free 100 years later on her birthday. So now what started to happen was my friends and family started to bend to me. Oh, that's right, it's Wednesday, you can't do Wednesday. Let's do happy hour on Thursday, would that work for you? Yes, it would. Watch this, Super Saturday. It went from, oh, Kai has that thing on Saturday, right? Can you come on Saturday? No, I got this thing. Oh, yeah, Kai's got that thing on Saturday, whatever. To, hey, we're gonna do a family barbecue. What day works best for you in the month of February? Because I know you got that thing on Saturday.
Right.
Get the difference?
Mm-hmm.
Bill Gates made the world bend to him. He saw a place where there was a computer on every single desk. The world bent to him. Ford saw a world where there was cars, not horses. The world bent to him. I needed the world to bend to me. Give you an example. Super Saturday is one thing, and then it's 2 weekends a year. It's your convention, which is the end of April, first part of May. You just got to be there. I mean, period. And you know what's so funny? People, I don't have the money. I'm like, yes, you do. You have an account with LegalShield. It's called an ATM. You put memberships in there. You know money spits out the other side of that. So what do you need? You need $1,000 to go? Okay, great. Let's do the math on this. If you make $100 membership, 10 memberships between now and then, you got it. Put it on the credit card. We'll pay it off by the. Do you know what I mean? Like, Also, people, when they ask me for money, I go, and their associates, I'm like, you have an ATM machine. You need money, why don't you put some memberships in the ATM machine and get some cash out of it? What do you need? Let's figure it out. So one Saturday, 2 weekends a year. So that was our convention. And then it's one team event. So this is how committed I am. And no one could ever second guess my commitment. Would you guys agree? Like, I think
Right.
I believe this thing, right? And that's what's required for success, having a good attitude, being coachable, and figuring out how to tweak a few things. But being the most committed. So I'll give you an example. My husband and I had sent save the date invitations to our wedding. And he had sent, we had put a very hefty deposit down on the location. And then, because sometimes in LegalShield people wait till the last minute to tell us what they're doing. It's a little bit annoying. Do you know what I'm talking about? And they're like, oh, by the way, we're doing it. I was like, oh, but I made the hard decision once, didn't I? One night a week, one Saturday a month, 2 weekends a year. So there's always a sale being made. You're being sold or you're selling somebody else. So this was a big sale. I had to say to my husband, so I know I'm only making $500 a month. It was, I mean, like now he'd be like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm making like $500 a month. He used to make fun of it. He thought it was this little stupid thing I was doing. Why are you messing with that? I said, listen, we gotta have a conversation. We're not doing this wedding that weekend. And he's like, we have a deposit. We're gonna lose $3,000. We've already sent out save the date wedding invitations. I'm like, I know, but we have to move it. I made a decision once. I cannot not do it. We've gotta be there. And they were like, he was like, you're serious, aren't you? I go, yeah, I'm like a heart attack. He's like, holy crap, all right. So we changed the wedding. Now his family wasn't very excited about me being his wife. They thought I was insane. Do you see what I'm saying? They thought I'm fully insane, which I am a little bit, and that's okay. That's another conversation. But how many people agree that that was a good decision to make? And so what happened was, because we moved the date, it ends up being sometimes around the performance club. So another little side step here was, when we got married, he said, I'll pay for the wedding, because our parents have no money. Remember, they had children trailer park. He's like, I'll pay for the wedding. I said, great, I'll pay for the honeymoon. Thank you, Performance Club. So we go to that Cancun Moon Palace, and on about day 4, he can't figure out where there's another 1,000 people that I know at that resort. So now it falls on or about the same time every year. And so it's now our like anniversary present. It's really fun. So I will never forget, this is maybe 12 years in, we've been married now, and we're at one of these performance club trips, and we have our arms up on the water, we have our chins here, we're in the pool, we're overlooking the ocean, and there's like a cruise ship out there, and the sun is setting, and we're just like, it's idyllic, it's just amazing, and you know, we're sitting there, and wow, this is just amazing. And then he says, happy anniversary, baby. And I said, happy anniversary, baby. Aren't you glad we changed the date? He pushed my head underwater, but it's things like that. And if I ever once wavered, would you guys agree that they wouldn't have taken my business seriously? I would have had to feel like I needed to waver on that. So you just want the world to bend to you and be the most committed. Are we good?
Yeah.
Yes.
Successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. Success comes from being uncomfortable. It's outside of your comfort zone. So there's 3 things that everyone should experience when they get started with us. So Katrina, have you had fun today?
Sure.
That wasn't very ringing endorsement. Are you enjoying yourself today?
Yeah.
Okay. So they need to have fun, because if it's not fun, let me give you an example. I'm making $500 a month. I'm working 80 hours a week, and I'm putting about 10 hours a week in here. And I wasn't making $10 per, I wasn't making per hour what I would be making in my other career. Do you follow what I'm saying? In the beginning. So if it wasn't fun, I wouldn't continue to be there. Do you follow what I'm saying? And they need to be able to earn while they learn. So I knew I wasn't who I needed to be, but I could still have some small wins along the way. And along the way, I'd be getting paid and promoted. And if I wasn't being celebrated and having fun for the little steps that we're doing, it would have been very easy to quit. Because that's the comfort thing. I was comfortable. Would you guys agree? So if it wasn't fun, I wasn't progressing, I wasn't earning even just a little bit, and it wasn't learning and engaging, and I was learning so much about personalities and business and concepts. I mean, I was having so much fun, and they were celebrating me a little bit on the way, it made me stay for one more time. One more time. One more time. Because how many people know that sometimes your people are just like, one more time. If you can just get them to come one more time. So if they don't, if they're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. It should be the fun part of your life. I always used to have this stereotype that you couldn't make money and have fun. Because making money was serious, especially if like you're an attorney. You argue for a living, like that's not exactly a barrel of monkeys. Would you guys agree? So Curtis might have had fun though. You're taking pictures. That seems like fun.
Yeah.
There are fun careers. Mine wasn't one of those. So I had to really put this as a paradigm shift. Like I get to make money and have fun and have significance and have a good time. It's just incredible, right? So there's only 3 things that we do that make the cash register ring. One is we retail memberships, we recruit people, and we're teaching them how to retail and recruit. Anything else is fluff. And what do I mean by that? So there's a lot of people that'll say, oh, I worked really hard today. Well, what did you actually do today? Well, I did an online training. I went in the back office and watched 3 online trainings from Melissa Peters. They were so good. Okay, I'm like, those are an hour and a half each. Like, does that even make sense? Hour and a half each. They're like, yeah, no, I did that all day Saturday. Okay, how many people agree there's no cash register ringing?
That's right.
The only thing that makes the cash register ring, and I'm not saying, let me back up here. Money isn't everything, but if you don't have any, it ranks up there with air.
Right.
Money makes you have better choices. Money allowed me the opportunity when my mom would call me and say, hey, I haven't paid my property taxes in like 5 years. Oops. I'm gonna lose my stupid little trailer. I was like, no problem, what do you need? I could cut a check for that.
That's right.
You know, somebody in my community really needed help from some sort of a cancer thing, and I was able to give something with a comma to help them. They never knew it was me. I'm gonna cry when I think about that. It's because it's not the money, it's the things that you can do with the money, the experiences. I mean, Mike Bishop, you were at my mom's funeral. Do you remember that eulogy I gave? All my friends, when their parents have died, had regrets. They said, man, I wish I would have spent more time with them. I did not have one regret. I spoiled her rotten, from Disneyland to Florida to you name it. I mean, she went everywhere with us. My husband couldn't travel like that. He had a pesky job. I took my mom everywhere. I had no regrets. And that's what I wish on everybody, is could you be there and say, you know what, I have no regrets. I didn't have to say no to my kids. They can't go play soccer because we don't have the money. No, I can't take you to Disneyland because we don't have the money. No, I can't help out because, you know, like Les Brown said he had 7 kids and they couldn't take care of one mom. You know, I don't want that to be my story. That doesn't mean I'm going to be a doormat either. If you want money, I'll show you how to make it. Right? But I'm saying it's important that my husband's laid off now, and I'm like, do whatever you want. That's what I wish on everybody. And the only thing that's going to happen, and I'm all about charitable causes, you know, I volunteer in my neighborhood, I do a lot of that stuff, but this isn't one of them. This is serious. This is serious business. It can still be fun, but I'm telling you right now, reading that longevity book, did I tell you guys this? Yeah, like you're gonna outlive your money if you're not careful. You need to do something. I don't know what it is. If this isn't it, find something. But if you have a job right now, it is not gonna save you. You can never live your dream life. Most of us can't in a job. Now my friend has a job, he works for Google. He makes like $1 million a year, he can. But that's not most of our realities, would you guys agree? So get something, and how we do that is we retail and bless people with their membership, and we retail and teach people to recruit, that we recruit to retail and do memberships. And that's it. And isn't that a beautiful thing? There's no losers in that. Everybody wins. We have something everybody needs, everyone can afford. And it's really the speed of the group is determined by the speed of the leader. So some of you want big organizations, but you're not even in Performance Club. How can you have a big organization if you're not registered for convention? How can you have a big organization if you didn't buy a ticket to next Saturday, Super Saturday? It's a disconnect in your brain, and your mind is the most powerful muscle that you have. So 3 kinds of approaches. Now you all know that there's got something I want to show you, may or may not be for you. It's only going to take 15 minutes. So we like to have some scripts out there, because when you do this to other people, they have to answer these 3 questions. Number 1, I don't feel weird about this. Like how many people have been weird?
What?
In PPLSI, you've been weird? You showed it to somebody weird? Yes. We did all kinds of kooky things. I made my own flip chart, right? And I'm like, because I thought I knew better than the company. I was like, oh, let me make my own flip chart. It wasn't duplicatable. So I wrote memberships, I recruited people for my own flip chart, but I couldn't get it to them, how to duplicate it. Now, I'm such a company girl. I mean, they're like, oh, do you have your own slides for the briefing? Never. Never. I hate it when people do their own slides. It's okay if they put their own family photo in it or something, that's fine. But like, this one guy has this whole like comp plan with a small business and stuff. I'm like, how are they ever gonna be able to get that and duplicate it? If you watch this 52 times in a year, you should be able to go out the next year and do it yourself. But if everyone has a different PowerPoint, how are you ever gonna be able to do it? So I'm such a militant on this. So I've done things that were weird, from lottery tickets, that was my favorite. We would say, hey, you get luckier, watching this DVD, at the time we had DVD, than you would if you did this scratch off, and I'm gonna prove it to you. I mean, like weird stuff like that. We were weird. So they have to look around and say, so like, would I wanna do that to my friends, family, and neighbors? Would I have the time to do it to my friends, families, and neighbors? So just so you know, I barely do sit downs, and if I do, I try to show the video. Like if let's say I'm doing a sit down on Zoom or something, I try to show the video. Because I have them to be able, because if they have to learn some sort of fancy presentation, if they think it's gonna, like, if you recruited a really busy attorney, or a really busy photographer, or somebody working corporate 20 hours, 80 hours a week, they have to have the time to do that. And that's why using these tools are so incredible. And then number 3, they'd have to feel comfortable taking their warm, fuzzy besties through that. Now the girl who recruited me was weird, and she was very pushy. I'm grateful she was. I would not be here. She was very, very, very pushy. But I did not want to do that to my friends, families, and neighbors. I'm grateful she was pushy. I write her a thank you note. For every time I've earned another ring, I wrote her a thank you note. Every time I've earned another million, I sent her a thank you note. I call the company and I ask for her address, and I literally send her a thank you note. I'm forever grateful. I'm forever grateful. So if you ever want to complain about your upline, your sideline, your whatever, say goodbye to your upline. They have nothing to do with you. It's not their responsibility. So everyone say, I am responsible.
I am responsible.
So it doesn't matter. Listen, that director, I haven't seen her in years. I'm grateful for her. I'm not mad at her. It wasn't her bag. It wasn't her gig. Listen, I love shopping at Nordstrom's. Doesn't mean I want to work there. Don't get mad about that. I'll also share with you, if you do it wrong, you will win the battle and lose the war, because people like this membership. They're going to buy the membership, but you can never go back to them and say, do you want to do it? They're going to say no. So at the end of the day, ambition is the path to success. Persistence is the vehicle to arrive in. So if you're not doing this well now, don't worry about it. You're going to get it better. Remember, I was horrible. My first year, I put 100, 200 people in the business. They're all gone. I needed to practice on somebody. I stunk, So 3 keys, again, to building a massive one. Exposure's everything. You guys have seen this before if you've been around for any length of time. Fortune's in the immediate follow-up. And you want to work with the willing. How many people have wanted this more for somebody else than they wanted it for themselves? My mentor said you cannot push a wet noodle uphill. You can't make it. So listen, my brother-in-law, I love my brother-in-law, but he hasn't always made the best decisions in life, right? So, he's in a situation now where, he's not in a good situation. The whole time I've been with my husband, he's not been in a good situation. Do you know what I'm talking about? He really needs this. But part of the reason why he's in this situation is because he doesn't make good decisions. So why would I think he would do this as a good decision? Right. It's the pattern. So sometimes you show it to people that need it. Why don't you show the person that doesn't need it? They're the ones who are going to do it. Right. And this is the recruiting up. I didn't need this. I didn't think I needed this. But the more I walked through the doors of it, the more I saw it, I could not poke a hole through it. There was nothing I didn't like about it. Why not make a home here? If you're going to work hard for something, why not do it here? Isn't that incredible? Yeah. It's amazing. So what I'm telling you right now is exposure is everything. You're going to show it to a lot of people. I wish I had my slide up here right now. I got one of my favorite claims to fame is I have a chapter in Go for No for the Network Marketer. I'm forever excited about that. This kid that flunks out of college, that has dyslexia, that can barely whatever. I wrote a page and a half. And I love that. I was like, hey, I got a book. I got a chapter in a book. Now I have a couple chapters in a couple different books. I should have brought them. But so I don't get paid for it. So if you get it, get it. But what was really funny about that was I looked at what did it take to get to my first $1 million in income with the company? Because after that, it doesn't compute very well because you might have a runaway leg, right? You've got some other things going on. You might have some, other income sources from the business model, right? But to my first $1 million, I showed it to, are you ready for this? 11,000 people.
Wow.
But it took me 15 years to get to $1 million. So if you take 15 times 365, you divide it into 11,000, do you know what that number is? It's 2 a day. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? And out of the 11,000, it was really interesting. I wrote about, and my exact numbers are in my book, I would say I wrote about 1 in 8.32% of them bought a membership. So usually it's 1 in 10 will buy a membership. My numbers were better. It was really my warm market. So it was 1 in 8.21 bought a membership. It's pretty good, right? It's about 1,000 memberships. Out of those 1,000 memberships, I aimed to recruit. I showed them the whole thing. I aimed to recruit and I missed and sell a membership, right? Opportunity's not for everybody. Out of those, I recruited, it was like 390 people. So about a quarter of those people got started as an associate as well. And we talked about people not doing the business, right? They either just don't ever fail to launch. They just, they start and quit, or they got comfortable and forgot about it, got distracted. So it was interesting because out of all of those, out of the ones that recruits that didn't do anything, out of all of them, because trust me, a lot of them didn't do anything out of those 390 that I personally brought on board, I made $3,000 for every single one of those associates that told me no. Because if you do the math, $1 million into that is about 3,000. What else is really interesting about that was that for everyone who told me no, out of the 11,000, if you subtract out the 1,000 that did it with me, you subtract those out, it's about $90 to $100 for everyone who told me no to that $1 million. Isn't that interesting? So do you know what happened to me once I actually did my numbers? Like the chapter I wrote was called Fun, the Fundamental Understanding of Numbers. If you understand your numbers, so I would be tracking all of this. I have a little college notebook and I forgot to bring it. I'm so mad I bring it to all my presentations to show you. It has just the name and where I got them from, like McDonald's, wherever I got them from. And then I put them into PPLSI, Prospect by PPLSI. So I'm not keeping anything other than a running tally of total for the month. So last month I showed it to 72 people. Okay, 72 people. I wrote over $200 in premium and recruited 2 people. But I need to know my numbers, and it's hard for me to go back onto PPLSI and look at it. And when people tell me yes, I highlight it with green. So I have the whole year. So I did 72 exposures in January. I did, I can actually do my math. Do you see what I'm saying? My fundamental understanding of numbers. So I know my numbers all the time. I've been doing this for 21 years. I have all these little notebooks of how people I showed it to. So what's great is if I need to finish the month, I go back, I just look at their names, I can see them, who do I need to follow up with. If they tell me no, I take a black pen and I scratch it out really hard.
Frowny face.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is totally a side. So I'm a kid of the 80s, right? You guys are gonna totally relate to this. My girlfriend sent me our yearbook picture where she had scratched out somebody's face. Okay? Scratched it all out, and she said, this is how we unfriended people in the 80s. I was cracking up. So where was I at though? Seriously, my little notebook. So isn't that inspiring? But here's the thing that pissed me off. You know what made me mad? If I knew I had to show it to 11,000 people, get them to agree to look at information. They didn't all watch it, of course. These are just the people that agreed to look at information. If it was 11,000 and it took me 15 years to get to my first $1 million, doing 2 a day, every day, 365 days out of the year. Some days I did 4 and I missed a day, right? But that was the average. You know what made me really mad about it?
What?
Why did I wait 15 years? Why not do 11,000 in 1 year? Do you follow what I'm saying? It's like, it's the Band-Aid. If the Band-Aid's coming off, and why do you pick at it? It's just coming out of the tooth, right? If you're gonna, the kid wiggles the tooth forever, or it's just hanging on by a thread. I was the kid that tied the string around it and then tied it to the door handle and slammed the door. I was like, it's coming out, why not get it out now? So that's what I'm saying. I mean, we really, success loves speed. You really need to work a lot harder on that. And who cares? Because some will, some won't. So what next? You make I made $100 for everyone who told me no. Who cares? They don't pay your bills. It doesn't matter. So everyone say, if it's meant to be, it's up to me.
It's up to me.
That's really what I want you to understand here today. And we talk about a lot of approaches, right? We say to everybody, you know, hey, I got something I want to show you, may or may not be for you. It's only going to take, 8 minutes, 6 minutes, 15 minutes. Here's some other approaches that worked for me. Hey, have you ever considered earning extra income from your home if the money's exciting enough? Now, this is Brian Carruthers. So here's just some other things. If that doesn't resonate with you, I would just take a screenshot of it. Or do you keep your career options open? And these are just great little one-liners that you can say to somebody to get their attention. Because if we know that we got to get enough exposure, then you got to get 11,000. Here's just some great ideas and things that have worked for me. That first one's Brian Carruthers. You recognize that one. And the other one's, hey, do you keep your career options open? Do you keep your income options open? So there's still one. Another great approach is, hey, I represent a rock-solid company where the timing is perfect and the residual income is the best I've ever seen. I like saying that to professionals, because they don't have residual income.
Right.
And they're like, wait, what? And if I say to somebody who's making a couple $100,000, and a lot of people in Silicon Valley make that, and I ask them if they're open, they're gonna tell me no. Are you open to extra income on the side? No. I say, hey, I represent, this is like an infomercial, right? Hey, what do you do? Oh, I represent a couple of rock solid companies that, where the timing is just impeccable and it's unbelievable, and it's the best source of residual income I've ever seen. They're like, wait, what? It's just a really good kind of door opener, right? Without going direct. It makes them ask you, what is it? Number 3, and this is the one I do to people that complements or enhances a book of business. Hey, what do you do? We offer 2 products that can complement and enhance what you're currently doing while giving you a second profit center, and it's one of the most exciting sources of residual income out there. So I'll say, hey, listen, they sell insurance. Hey, I've got something that can complement and enhance your book of business and give you another profit center, and it's another great source of residual income. If I sent you a video, would you be open? Very professional. I'm not gonna go up to that person and say, hey, we're gonna keep your income options open? Like, I have a job, I have a business, I have a whatever. So those are great. And you wanna be excited and confident, but never cocky. And that's, it's hard for me in the beginning, because there you go. So at the end of the day, this is our 5-step approach. All we do is we approach them with whatever you want to approach them with. We send them a quick video, we put them on the phone with somebody else, have them watch a full presentation, get out to a live event. Does that just make sense? So recruiting is a process, it's not an event, and this is a new concept for most people, so sometimes it takes a few exposures. So I really love this, and with Zoom and in-person events, we can really take advantage of everything. But in here, where did it say that you tell them all about it, you throw up all over them?
No.
So here's the steps I want to share, and I promised I would share this. How am I doing on time?
Good.
What time is it?
It's 10 to 2.
Oh, we're good, okay.
Yeah.
I have no watch, no clock, no nothing. So how do you want to know what it takes to get to $1 million outside of that 11,000 people to show it to? Here's the steps. Number 1, you got to get in Performance Club, period, end of statement. Period. It's $100 in premium. If you wrote 2 $65 plans, you're in there. If you recruit somebody, it gives you a multiplier. Okay, number 2, and I'm going to show you how this works out really well. You're going to use Performance Club to get to Senior Director and Executive Director. Let me show you what this looks like. So I am obsessed with Performance Club. It's, as you can obviously tell, show up with more people than you came with, get in Performance Club, teach people to do number 1 and number 2. If you had more Performance Club people, if you could triple the number of Performance Club people in your business, would you be at another ring level?
Yes.
If you could even double, would you potentially get another ring level?
Yes.
Okay. This is the key to the business, because once they start getting in it, they start getting money, they earn trips, they never want to fall out. That's why we don't fall out. Like, we will be scrappy, messy action to get that stuff done, right? So here's what we do. This is just manager, to give you an example. It's you plus 3 people in Performance Club. You're not even in Performance Club in this one. It's just you and 3 people in Performance Club. You're a manager. Now, it would be less than that because you had to recruit them and sell them the membership, but just to give you a visual, right? Super simple. So Performance Club with just 100 is the building blocks of your entire business. How do you get senior manager? Oh my gosh. Okay, watch this. You're in PC, you wrote 100 in premium. You recruited 3 people. They're all in PC, that's 100 in premium. They all recruited people that were at 100 premiums. So that's 100, 400, 300, 300, 300, 1,300. It's 1,500 to be a senior manager. If you do that in 1 month, you're pretty much a senior manager. Some people would do a little bit more than that, would you agree? So you probably get the extra 200 with that kind of action going on. So if you did it the second month, do you know that you would be a director?
Right.
If you did it the third month, do you know that you would be a senior director? You did it the fourth month, you'd be an executive, just about an executive director.
Right.
That's it. So how many is that? That's 1 plus 3 is 4, and then 9, you're talking how many? 13. That's it. You and 12 other people in Performance Club, evenly spaced out, your executive director, sky's the limit. Is that insane or what?
Nice.
So you should be looking at that number. Again, if you're a publicly traded company and I'm gonna invest or buy yours, I wanna know how many people do you have showing up to the convention? Is it growing? And I wanna see your Performance Club numbers every single month. Is it going up and to the right? Or is it popcorn? One person's in, one person's out. I wanna see the people also increasing every month, not just I'm in. It's like a binary. They're in 1 month, they're out 1 month. It's 1 0 1 0. I want 1 2 3 4 5 6. That means you have a healthy business. So this is the steps to go to millionaire. Once you do Performance Club, which is why I'm talking about it now, you get senior, you go executive director, you're following, you're picking up what I'm throwing down. You do it for 8 months out of a calendar year. You're going to be in the profiles of success. Isn't that cool? You're going to be in the profiles. You do that, I'd say 1 year. The second year, you're probably going to get the ring, at least the 50,000. You do it for another year, you're probably going to be there, and eventually you're going to join the Millionaires Club. It's really that simple. Was that helpful to somebody?
Right.
So the whole world is self-made, but only the successful are willing to admit it. And listen, the timing on this thing is perfect. And I really want you to just understand this, and we really are at this beautiful spot. So think about this right now. If we're going into a recession, they say unemployment is at an all-time low. It may be for like the lower level jobs, but it's certainly not there at the higher levels. So I'm just saying, not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's really not a lot of growth opportunities out there. And they're cutting the work from home by 50% because they don't feel like they need to do that anymore at these high-tech companies. It's really the perfect storm for us to be able to attract people to our business. One, if you're working retail, like my mom, she didn't like it. It was nights. She actually loved it. That's not true. But she didn't love that she had to miss things sometimes because it was nights and weekends and things like that. There's a lot of people that don't love retail. It's hard on their body. It's crappy hours if you've got kids. And those are the only jobs that are out there right now in plethora. Then it's the next level up, which is, the jobs that are a lot of us are familiar with too. But those are not growing. Those are the ones that are laying off. Those are the ones that are saying, if you're going to come to work, now they're getting snotty. You have to come in every week. We're not playing this little you get to work from home thing. And prices of everything are so expensive. I mean, think about the price of gas. Is eggs out here? I mean, eggs are like $13. What is going on? What is going on here? So I say that to say, is this a perfect storm for somebody wanting to try something different? They want to work from home. They want freedom and all that. So here's what I want to share with you is there's 4 stages of growth in any company, and I'm just going to pull them all out. I learned this from my mentor, Craig Hepner, and this is actually his slide. But what happens is, number one, when you get started with a company, this is formulation right here. So this means this is your startups, and I can relate this really well to Silicon Valley because 80% of all startups, whether they're high tech, low tech, doesn't matter, they fail. They fail within 3 to 5 years. They're done, out of business. And even if they're old stodgy companies like Sears, doesn't mean you're out of the woods, right? Because something called Who Moved My Cheese can happen. So, and with this new AI, are you guys, the new, Chat GPT? I mean, there's a lot of people that are going to be out of business. There's going to be a lot of marketing companies, a lot of social media coaches. They're going to be out of business. They're not going to need it. Good luck teachers. I feel bad for them. I'm like, ooh, wow, that's going to be interesting for college and teachers. So that could be a Who Moved My Cheese. There's a lot of things moving right now, and it's been said by 2025, like 1/3 of the jobs that are out there today are going to just go away because of automation, because AI is moving so fast. So what happens is you don't want to join a company here. You don't want to join a company in concentration either. You want to join a company when it's going into all-out massive momentum. Listen, There was an article written, and they talked about what do all the billionaires have in common. There's only one thing they had in common. Do you want to know what it was? Money. No, how they got it. They had one thing in common. They all got started with a product, a concept, a company, a profession, an industry. The most operative word is before it became a household name. That's it. So my friend Charlie Ayers, he was employee number, I think it was 138 with Google, and he was a chef. He went to culinary school. He was a pretty good chef, but employee number 138. He's now gone on to be a multi-millionaire, and we made fun of him. Google Schmoogle, the hell kind of name is Google? Like, we just rode him on this. Because if you think about it, he's number 138, and I was like, what does it do with the search engine? I'm like, what are there a bunch of grandmas back there with the Dewey Decimal System looking stuff up? I could not compute with how it could search something called the internet. I couldn't compute it. Now that's a household name. They just took over almost all of San Jose. Could you be a chef there today? Yes, you could be a chef at Google today. Of course you could. You're going to be employee number 138,000.
Yeah.
How's your timing? If you still can make good money, but you're never going to be able to put a fork in you and be done. You're in a company right now that has a 3% market penetration. Quit wanting what you don't want. Not everybody knows who we are. They don't understand who we are. They're like, I think I've had this. That is exactly where you want to be, because once it's a household name, party is over. They don't need us. They're going to just put on an ad like for Nike that just says, just do it, 800, whatever.
Right.
So you have I get goosebumps, you have a very unique moment in time where we're at a 3 to 4% market penetration in most places, and it's when something gets to 4 to 5%, it goes into all out massive momentum. It goes from being from being sold to being bought. Everybody knows what it is. Like, you don't have it, you're stupid. Why don't you have that thing? This is where you want to be. This is where all the money's made. Let me give you an example. Herbalife, Shaklee, Isogenics, Mary Kay. They're all at the top up there, which is stability. You could still make good money there, but you're never going to be a multi-millionaire. Ever. You can't. It's impossible. Why? Everybody has it. Everybody knows it. Everyone has a rep. It's done. Party's over.
And their products can be bought somewhere else.
And you legitimately here have an opportunity to change your family's future for freaking ever. I'm going to tell you the story as my favorite story, because it is Black History Month, and I want to share another story about one of my favorites. Is Wilma Rudolph. And if you haven't read her story, it's a short story. But Wilma Rudolph is amazing to me. She was born in very, 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 very rural Alabama. Multiple siblings, I think it was like 11 brothers and sisters, and she was the baby of all of them. She ended up with double pneumonia, scarlet fever, and polio before she even went into grade school. She was permanently, they said, disabled. She wore braces on her legs. They said she would never ever walk again. Well, her mother, being a domestic, ended up saying, no, that's not going to be her future. Spoke life into her. She took her on the bus to go get treatments all the time and told her, you can be anything. Well, she decided, much to the doctors and everyone's delight, she ended up walking. And by about the age of 9 or 11, she was able to walk unaided, but still had a very big limp, whatnot. She decided she wanted to run.
Cool.
And everyone's like, what are you talking about? Here's this poor little girl, couldn't walk, completely disabled. She started to run. And what did she run? Well, she came in dead last in every single race she ever did. Everyone told her to give up. It's stupid. You're never gonna make it. Doesn't make sense. But she kept running. And she finally beat one person. Came in second to last. Fast forward, this woman went on to win 4 medals in 2 Olympics and was coined as the fastest woman in the world.
Wow.
So, what's your excuse? You have every reason to win. You've got the right environment, the right timing, the right company. All we need for you to do is show up, do the activity, get in Performance Club, and teach people to do number 1 and number 2. With that, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys at the after event.